Okay, look, uh, we are getting started here. This is SaHa's Kids versus Don't Forget to Track Us, Hiker versus Gilgamesh. Hello, everybody. We got a tree pool there as one goes Uncle Route, one goes, Sank Route. We'll get tree pools on both sides here. Welcome in Myandium as my, co-commentator. How's it going, Myandium?
I'm doing well. Little AD Key Sanity Week 3 matchup here between SaHa's Kids and Don't Forget to Track Us. Alright, there's the scene change we've been looking for. 1 minute in, we're running a tight ship this evening, 3 hundo on the lumberjack ledge there. That'll be fine. Sean, I'm doing great. This should be a fun game between a couple of teams that have gotten off to maybe a little bit of a rocky start this season. I know that SaHa's Kids is 2-2 after the second week. I don't forget to track us record right in front of me at the moment, but I feel like theirs is fairly similar.
I do remember Don't Forget to Track Us had some unfortunate co-op AD seeds that they dropped both. So I also don't have that in front of me, but I can find it out.
In the meantime, we can say a few things about AAD keys. Add keys, as we've been calling it. It's not all dungeons key sanity, it's almost all dungeons key sanity. Now, unlike something like FAD keys, FAD keys, where the Castle Tower keys are vanilla, in this, the Castle Tower keys can be wherever they really want. But in this, you don't actually have to do AGA. This is, for lack of a better term, let's just say that this is a plando, and the only thing that's been plandoed is the GT Big Key is on PED. That's going to force you to complete all of your pendant dungeons, but really it's just an open key sanity seed. So 7 crystals, but then 3 pendants, because otherwise you're not climbing Ganon's tower, and then you beat the pig to end the game.
Yeah, so and we get early boots and a mirror there on Don't Forget to Track Us aside. Now these two runners, I know Iker a little better than I know Gilgamesh, but two extremely talented runners that have been doing this for a little bit, I'd say.
Gil may be a little bit of a newer runner than Ike here, but between the two, he's the one that I know better. I've played against him in a handful of tournaments, including a different team tournament, and yeah, definitely one of those up-and-coming runners, and one that I would think that his teammates would be the first ones to say, probably the reason why they've made the Invitational League here. He is the ace of SaHa's Kids, and certainly going to be looking to pull down the 3 points in the match today.
We have a question about the sprite. I can confirm that this is Sailor Mercury on Iker's side. That's his sprite. Not 100% sure what this sprite on Gilgamesh's side is, but I have seen him use it in every race that I've seen him race in.
Yeah, I think chat has it right that it's Emma Sky from the Ace Attorney series. Oh, look, a French vanilla bottle in the back of the tavern. Isn't that convenient? That bottle doesn't normally come with fairy, but the little add-ons are what makes Rando nice sometimes.
And a very nice sword there in Kakariko to add to that bottle. So we're getting some real nice options here. Oh, there, but for the grace of God goes Iker.
That was almost a very painful I'm not sure where Ike here started that fake flipper, so that could have been a
Uh,
minute waiting for that.
It was
to
way,
show.
way back.
Uh-oh.
Oh, and there's the
There you
soft
go.
block. That is unfortunate. So, a little bit about what's happening here. Iker did a glitch called Fake Flipper, which if you jump in the water and you transition the screen before the splash comes up, you can swim without actually having the flippers because the game doesn't check if Link has the flippers until he splashes in the water. So you can kind of fool the game into thinking you have the flippers, but if you take damage and you're not on the same screen that you jumped in the water on, then that causes... In the vanilla game, it causes a soft block. It causes an infinite screen scroll, but here in Rando, all it does is take a very, very long time for you to be able to save and quit out of this state.
There was a point in time where if you got hit while you were fake flippering, it was just instant death. And, well, you might think, instant death doesn't sound very good, right? Right now, Ike here is really wishing that we were still in the instant death while fake flippering days.
Yeah, a death screen is about 12 seconds or so, and this I think the last time I timed it, I don't know if it's different between fast ROM and slow ROM, but the last I timed it, it was something like 36 seconds before you could get into that menu.
I guess we can call that a little bit of a boots penalty, but Ike here now going to give us a new check here in the Pegasus Rocks. That's a pretty
Hook
good check.
shot. Okay. We're getting pretty well equipped here in the first 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, it is tough to argue against getting the goods. Now, you think about things like that hook shot in the mirror, we're starting to talk about things that do good for us up on the mountain, but without a glove and a lamp or a flute, we're not going to get there just yet.
I still think you have to like keep it in the back of your mind that I have both a mirror and a hook shot that represents a full clear of the light side of Death Mountain. Once you do get that access, either the glove or the flute, so. That is an incredibly dense location.
At this point, it's more of a curiosity of where are those items going to come from, because it certainly seems like we're running a little low on the locations to make this seed go at the moment.
You know, I'm constantly surprised by the size of the bomb hitboxes. I was 100% sure that that bomb would not open the back of Bine's hut there.
It is very lenient. You don't have to turn right very long. You do not have to move up. You definitely don't have to place the bomb directly against the crack in any form. You can get through that room pretty quickly. You can save yourself a decent chunk of time there if you just kind of accept that bomb physics in Link to the Past are a little questionable sometimes. Gilgamesh, very nearly finding a screen scroll of his own, managed to dodge that Zora fireball at about the last possible second.
If you're hit out of water walk state, you actually don't infinite screen scroll. So I think if he would have taken that, he would have landed on the shallow water and been fine.
Yeah, depending on where you land, and I guess if it drops you in deep water, you just stand there?
Yeah, you just stand on top of it, and then every time you attempt to move, it just jumps in the water. So essentially soft lock, but it does not cause that infinite screen scroll that we saw on Iker's side.
Reason number 472 why water walking is better than fake flippering.
Look at that glorious lag going through all of those bushes.
All that wonderful slow ROM, we'll be using it the entire tournament.
Uncle dropping some knowledge here. We already saw that, I guess. But what we haven't seen is the front of escape, which I believe was what Gilgamesh is going to do here.
That can be the trick with the really early Uncle route. You wind up just without any weapon at all. Do you really want to walk down to map chest and even further orphan the rest of the front of escape? Or do you hold off?
Yeah, in an AD Keys seed, I've actually come to like the Sanctuary start and just go to Kakariko. Once you find your weapon, you can get whatever the Uncle has. There's not a whole lot that you can find on Uncle in the early game that's really going to tip the scale very far. Now, the interesting thing for Gilgamesh here is going to be, like, if something ends up in Castle Tower, he's going to need to find a way to get back here at some point, whereas Iker has more reason to come back because he's got these items in front of escape yet.
And having the mirror, I guess your best bet for that would be pairing it up with Pyramid Ledge check.
Okay, we're going right into Desert Palace here, following that book.
2 checks available on the current equipment set.
Oh, and a bow. Okay, well, that's definitely going to be required, but...
Interesting to see how deeply buried the Hyrule Castle small key is, because that is a check locked behind that particular key.
Yeah, so even though you're going to see our runners get some stuff... Oh, and a big key to Eastern there in Desert Palace. So... that'll be clearable fairly soon.
Part of the Eastern play, but not all.
After exiting the dungeon and finding out, yep, those statues went back where they were at first, and you gotta go out the right side to get to Agina. Alright, so it looks like that piece of Eastern Palace access is sending both runners, actually, over to the Eastern Palace. Little good knowledge there for Green Pendant, and also a glove in the back of SaHa's closet.
Nice to be able to pick up the back of the escape sequence with that one, but Gil thinking, well, maybe this bow is just going to lead me to the answer, and... well, between them, we'll find out whether or not there is some answer behind some part of this, but it's probably a bit better of a play for Ike here at the moment, just because he's got that big key in hand, and it's going to give him 1 additional check.
And Iker just grabbing that glove, deciding I'm not going to Eastern just yet. Wonder if this is just drop in the back of escape and then climb the mountain. Or just don't do back of escape at all.
Yeah, just head straight for the mountain. You're missing a lamp yet, but still, you can afford to be down a lamp unless you get into Hera with that small key and you were supposed to have a fire source.
So you might see that Iker's screen is black, and any room that you're supposed to have the lamp for turns dark when you don't have it, but these people have been playing for long enough that, you know, we don't need no stinking lamp.
Yeah, you can more or less navigate the dark rooms, and the dark cave there on the way up to the mountain is really one of the first things that runners are going to learn when they start learning dark room navigation.
Right, there's actually a small chance that if you can't, if you grab the old man and then you can't lead him to the exit, that you can't save and quit out of there, or you lock yourself into that position until you get out of the dark cave. So definitely a good first one to learn.
And it's not so bad in something like this, but when we get on down to week 7 and we start talking about minimization in the dark, particularly in the old man rescue, can become quite the devastating problem.
And just couch cash there on the tablet. And I believe we may have found a medallion or two here in Eastern Palace, but not really much else. Well, there's a map of Hyrule Castle. Unfortunately, not very useful.
One of those items that does not change a whole lot. And nobody wants to do the back of escape, apparently.
Gilgamesh hasn't done Bonk Rocks yet, so I think that's okay to do beforehand, and just continue it into back of escape, but
I'm just
it's
wondering,
also
since he's picked off the rest of the castle already, why he wouldn't just pick up Bonk Rocks on the way up the mountain, since that certainly seems like it's going to be the next play.
and Moldorm being his usual bouncy self here. And there's our mountain access in the form of a flute.
Well, all of a sudden, it's a little bit better of a thing that Gilgamesh decided to do those Bonk Rocks first. Now, he still could have picked it up while going to activate the flute, but once you get your mind set on something like that, I need to go activate this flute. The idea of doing checks becomes secondary for just a little bit. Ike here is in a spot of bother here. There's the worm down. It was down to that last hit point.
Yeah, okay, I thought I saw something golden, but didn't see a text box. That was actually the Titan's mitts there on
That was the second glove.
Moldorm. Bit of a scope out here, $300 there on Floating Island. Probably just gonna stay there.
The money seems to be a little out of the way this seed.
Lucker's teammate in chat asking very politely to not do Super Bunny without Moon Roll, but Fortunately, this happened 10 minutes ago, so it's a foregone conclusion.
And it's alright to go ahead and set this up, because that way, if you find the Moon Pearl in Paradox Cave here, you can just step right back outside, get into the portal, and continue on your merry way.
Okay, I'm gonna have a runner high five coming up here.
That big key to Swamp, nice to have before you get into Swamp. You don't have to worry about going back later.
And just to address the MSU pack, the MSU is Trials of Mana, which I believe is the third game in the Secret Mana trilogy.
I'm not sure right off the top of my head. It's a good question. Somebody in chat probably knows.
Yeah, no Moon Pearl there in Paradox Cave, which is a little bit surprising to me.
Well, we did wind up with the Mitts in Hera, so... and we did get the big key afterwards, so a vanilla Moon Pearl is possible. We could also wind up with something like a Moon Pearl in King's Tomb.
Master Sword there in Super Bunny Cave. So, I'd say that worked out.
Alright, Ether for Turtle Rock. That's a medallion that Gilgamesh has.
I believe he found it in Eastern Palace along with that Bombos.
And Ikir is going to make the return trip to Tower of Hera here. You've got the big key, you're still up on the mountain. Probably want to make sure that the Moon Pearl is not just in its vanilla location. That is decidedly not a Moon Pearl, although it does belong to this dungeon.
Neither runner are going to be able to do Hera Basement here, and they do have the small key, which is fairly early, if I remember right. So this is just going to be one of those things that's burning in the back of your mind the whole time. Oh, and there's that fire rod there in King's Tomb. Oh, video game, please.
I had to do the double take there to see whether or not we had pulled a Desert Palace big key, because, again, it feels like we're starting to run a little low on options here. Now, the boss in Eastern and the big chest of Eastern are still outstanding. Ikir going to find the flute here and say, alright, well, there's my logical mountain for all the good that does me. I guess with the mirror now to pair with that flute, he could go and pull a Moon Pearl out of Checkerboard, a bit of a rando classic. But Moon Pearl and Hera Basement would just be cruel and unusual punishment at this point.
Well, this game has been known to have jokes, and the jokes are sometimes a bit cruel.
And the one medallion that Gilgamesh does not have, Quake for Misery Mire.
You're attempting to do a Super Bunny into the Mire Shed here, and successfully gets it on the second try. So what Iker did there is press the mirror on the same frame as he entered the Mire Shed. That overworld underworld transition, along with the attempt to use the mirror, locks you in a state called Super Bunny, in which you can do a bit more than you would normally be able to do in bunny mode. That's why you saw him slash his sword. That's how he figures out whether he's in this state. And there's that Moon Pearl and Checkerboard cave that Rando loves to give us so much. So both runners going to be about 10 to 20 seconds apart getting that Moon Pearl, and there is a lot available right now.
Certainly going to draw Iker further and further away from that bow, at least for the time being.
Looks like Iker's just going to go straight for Skull Woods here. I wonder if he does back to front here, trying to continue one way or another.
Looks like he was giving consideration to it and then decided he wanted to start in the front instead. Gilgamesh, meanwhile, using that save quit out of Agina's closet as his excuse to get back to the sanctuary and check King's Tomb, going to be rewarded with the fire rod.
Yeah, I don't mind checking the front here. Iker does have blue mail, but only 6 hearts, and those spikes in Moth Room do 1 heart no matter what mail you're on, so just a little more margin of error there.
Yeah, you never know, and you could always just pull another sword as well. Seems like our runners do have similar designs on this at the moment. Gilgamesh also heading for Skullwoods, although he doesn't seem to be doubling back to the front. Just going to go directly into the Vanilla Big Key location, probably head for the back immediately after.
Yeah, Gilgamesh down 1 heart and 1 sword, compared to Iker right now. It's definitely not something that I like to do, but that's probably because I'm a coward, as we see our 3rd medallion here in the back of Skullwoods.
Gives us a decent chunk of access to Misery Mire, although no small keys, no big key. There are some checks there that you're not going to be able to get at just yet.
Iker trying to save as much magic as he can for the Moth. There's a full refill there on the Mini Helma, so coming in clutch there. being her usual dodgy self. Alright, and we got a Tid in here. Skullwoods is a crystal as indicated by that little C in the top left corner. Gilgamesh making quick work of it.
Cooperative Moth plus Hammer does end pretty quickly, so that is 2 dungeons on the board for each runner now. The same ones, in point of fact. We've got Tower of Hera, Skull Woods, both down already.
Just acknowledging a message in chat here. I do see the kappa on your message, but on a serious note, usually with a mirror and a book, you would see a pedestal check from the runners so that they knew what was there, but in this mode, it is always the Ganon's Tower big key, so no need to do that.
Ike here going to take this opportunity with the mirror, speaking of checks that you can make a little more convenient with that mirror, to see Lumberjack now. That's another one of our 3 hundos hidden away in a spot that we're unlikely to go fetch.
How is it almost all dungeons? Can you take this one, my Endium?
Well, really what it is a 7/7 key sanity seed, but since we've plandoed the GT big key on Ped, you're going to have to complete all the pendants as well. Since it's technically only a 7/7 goal, though, you don't have to beat Aga, and since there's nothing on Lumberjack, and Aga was not our Dark World access, in the seed our runners will not be beating Aga.
Yeah, normally in an all dungeon school you would have to defeat Aga 1. This one you don't. Okay, we get a quick graveyard ledge and then... Oh, he must have skipped that to go spy the Zora ledge item. Okay. Shield. Oh, that's where the bomb medallion is. Okay. Iker's teammate probably not thrilled to see that shield in his hands, but oh, and Iker making an aggressive play into Ice Palace here.
I don't know that there's really anything wrong with an Ice Palace play here. You've already got the big key, you've got a small key, which makes the routing a little more convenient. And with the Bombos Medallion to go along with the Fire Rod, you've got a decent weapon for actually damaging the Cold Stare Puffs once you knock the shell off. All things considered, since you have to do all of the dungeons anyway, why not just go ahead and get it out of the way? Maybe you pull something else interesting.
I'm more concerned about like the health situation, but I did just remember that Iker has a fairy in a bottle, so... Big key of pod there on Catfish.
To go along with the 3 small keys that Gil has, he does have that bow. He's got the Eastern Palace big from Desert now. I'm not really expecting the Ice Palace play to come on Gilgamesh's side here. I think getting over into those bow dungeons may be a little more interesting to him now.
And a $500 sword on Zora there.
It's a little more expensive than the swords in the vanilla game, but still, it's difficult to turn it down when you don't know where any of the other ones are. Shows what I know, Gilgamesh making that beeline for Out of Logic Ice Palace. We still don't have the flippers, so the game doesn't expect the runners to be here yet. Seems like that Desert Palace Big Key that Ike here found is the standout item of Ice Palace, at least thus far. Took a little while for Icebreaker to cooperate with Gilgamesh there, but he is on through the gigantic rail. And Ike here approaching Cold Stare just as one might expect. Use the bombos to crack the shell and then get the fire rod out.
He was also on 48 magic and not 64, so couldn't have used the fire rod anyway. I guess he could have done some... never mind, he doesn't have the bow, so no Samari refill shenanigans, unfortunately.
That is a third crystal on the board for Ike here. We'll see where he wants to go next.
Personally, it would be hard for me to ignore Desert since we have a big key and a small key now, but we'll see. Obviously, the flippers can't be there, but the flippers could just be a bottleneck at this point.
And realistically, it's fine if those show up a little later. You don't really want to have to full clear swamp unless the game really wants you to. Ooh, Gil taking that Freezor hit there. Gonna be sitting at about half health at the moment. Heading towards this Cold Stare fight. Not really where you want to be.
Let's still have the fairy in a bottle in case things get a little hairy. It's like sitting on about 50 magic here too, so also gonna use the bombos.
Meanwhile, Landmole is down for Ike here, finds the small key to Thieves Town. We still don't have a big key to Thieves Town, but it's nice to have that one first.
It is a lot nicer to get that small key before the big key. You never have to question whether making the Thieves play is the right one. Let's see where Gilgamesh goes now.
Interesting, the call is 4. I would think this is going to be Pyramid Ferry, probably into the eastern dungeons.
Either that or Bombo's tablet into desert. Looks like... Oh, Hype Cave. That exists.
Yeah, you could just go to Hype Cave, that's fine. You might find items there. It's a possibility.
Okay, small key to TR is a decent find, but you're usually hoping for a little bit more out of Hype Cave than that.
Especially when you're at the point where you don't have the big key to TR, so that third small key doesn't change a whole lot for you.
Ether was somewhere in Eastern Palace. I didn't quite catch where exactly it ended up. So the differences between the runners right now is Gilgamesh has cleared the front of escape and 4 out of 6, or sorry, 5 out of 6 checks in Eastern Palace.
And we talked about it quite a while earlier, but this is the answer to how Gilgamesh was going to work in the Aga Tower check. It is that pyramid play and then just mirror over. Valkyr is going to accomplish the same kind of thing and may well find that bow from front of escape while he's in the midst of this particular action.
It's like he is indeed making that dive down to Zelda's cell. And we'll probably just follow Gilgamesh into pod.
You would be the one to know between us. That looked like a pretty solid Kiki dash to me, though.
Yeah, anytime you can get the monkey closer to the dungeon, and cuts down the walk. Well, there are our flippers that we were looking for to put Ice Palace in logic.
It's fine. All of a sudden, we know how the Desert Palace clear for Ikir gets into logic. And there is that self-same bow that Gilgamesh has been holding on to for quite some time now. Ikir's got it too.
Alright, good. I was wondering if Iker was going to remember to go up to Castle Tower. Looks like he'll be able to get back to the portal. The second shield. Oh! Iker, getting chased around a little bit by that sword guard there.
Not really where you want to use the fairy, but you'd rather get the check done than not.
Big key of TR. You have a nice little ring full of keys here, but one thing we're glaringly missing is the ice rod.
Ice Rod's never just been up on Dark Death Mountain in its life. It doesn't happen.
You're probably just getting potions here, unless I missed a mushroom pickup somewhere. Okay, yep, just getting potions.
It's not a terrible time to stop off for it. It's also right on the way to something that he needs to do anyway, with the pod big key coming out of the catfish check.
Oh, that's right. I was looking at his tracker and not very good at reading this thing, so thought I saw that it was clicked off already, but it is not, and now it is.
Small keys to Skull Woods. We're getting a little closer to putting that moth kill into logic finally.
I think we're gonna go grab this sword off of Zora. This is probably the last chance he's ever gonna get to check this, so might as well. Remembers that he does not indeed have flippers.
And is not currently water walking either.
Both runners are actually... are both runners on Tempered Sword?
No, Gil does not have that sword that Ikir sequence broke out of Super Money Cave.
Glad one of us is paying attention. So that's gonna make a difference for a little bit here, but I don't really see Gilgamesh missing that sword for very much longer, especially with all this Turtle Rock equipment we just got.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him clear out Desert first, but unless the Mire Big comes out of some part of Palace of Darkness here, I don't really expect that after that he would be doing much of anything else. I guess if the Swamp Small shows up, then we get a situation where he goes and does Swamp first. And this Eastern Palace play will be a little longer for Ike here than it was for Gilgamesh, because Gilgamesh had dipped the beginning of this before getting the Eastern Palace big key. He had the bow at the time, he just hadn't landed on all of the pieces of the puzzle. Alright, Gilgamesh choosing to use that last small key on Harmless Hellway gets a GT small key in return.
There's only 4 small keys, he's gonna have to leave something behind, so... hopefully it's not important.
Nobody's ever gotten punished by which of the 6 key locked single chests they leave behind, ever. No, that just doesn't happen in Rando. It's fine.
Nah. Just win a coin flip, forehead.
Big key to Skull Woods. That is not the dungeon on Western Dark World that I think our runners are really hoping that a key was going to come out for, but here we are.
Gonna check that right away and not have to worry about it for the rest of the game. Don't believe Gilgamesh has been to Village of Outcasts yet, so he may be headed that way after Skull Woods. Unfortunately, stream cutting out, so we could not see what was inside that chest. At least on my side.
No, we'll have to hope that either it wasn't important or it was really important, in which case we'll see it in the very near future. Ike here putting that Eastern Palace clear on the board.
Hiker going for the chest that Gilgamesh left behind. Just $50.
Yeah, one of those circumstances where you don't get punished either way. That's kind of nice. Keeps the race closer, if nothing else.
Helping hanging out in the front of Thieves Town. Go has a kind of interesting decision here. Do you or do you not do Smith Chain? The mirror in hand, and having Mitts be as early as they were, I would say probably err to yes rather than no, but some people really hate the Smith Chain.
Yeah, it's tough to say, but it does get you down maybe into the area that you're kind of hoping to edge toward anyway in Swamp.
Yeah, I don't believe we've seen Bombo's tablet either, so, you know, being able to take the purple chest down is maybe a little too good to pass up here.
Ah, an unavoidable heart. It feels like our runners have been avoiding hearts fairly well thus far. So both of our runners have 2 pendants at this point. We're looking for the Meyer Big to be able to get that one. It's always kind of nice to be able to pull that GT Big key before you wind up back on the mountain.
Yeah, in this mode, there's always that possibility that your pendant progression is in GT basement somewhere, and you have to leave the mountain and then pull the big key and reclimb up, but Gilgamesh, no, you left the chest behind.
Ah, but he found the TR small key number 4, so it's fine, right?
Gilgamesh doing I'm not even sure I could call it a glitch, but it's called, I believe, a follower state glitch that as long as you are in the dark world, it still counts the purple chest as following you. And then once you mirror transition, you have a bit of a grace period until it takes that follower away from you. So as long as you walk up to the mute thief by the time that timer runs out, then you can still get the item from inside the chest. TR4 is certainly interesting though, because so we'll probably see some lava chest checks here.
Ah, another small key to Misery Mire there on Hylia Island. We're a little closer to having that fire-locked side in Logic.
Well, I believe if there's something on that fire-locked side that locks that third Misery Mire key, it could be in Logic. That was a Logic update that was made, I believe, in 31.0.4.
Interesting.
Unless we're playing on 100% locations, in which case that is not true. But I'm not 100% sure what the logic is for this mode. Is there a timer? Yeah, there is a timer. It lasts approximately until the end of Link's iframes after he warps. Being on the same screen as the NPC just guarantees that you're gonna get there in time. I don't think you're gonna spend half a second waiting around.
So Gilgamesh is going to get his Landmola's kill here in another minute and change, and Ikir's going to work on the village for a little while. Probably do the front floor of Thieves Town, likely get into that smith chain. At which point, mostly our runners will have covered each other's footsteps. What do you expect next?
Well, we've seen a Super Bunny check, but we did not see a Hookshot Cave check from Iker, and Gilgamesh did not go to Super Bunny or Hookshot Cave because he did not have to Pearl at that time, so I would think that has to be at least thought about. They may try to put that off until they get a TRB key, though. If it's not Dark Mountain, I'd probably expect a Naked Mire play, trying to see if the big key is just in the dungeon.
Alright, Gilgamesh has completed Landmolas and has fluted to the mountain, so maybe we're finally going to see more of Dark Mountain than we've seen thus far. This will net Gil a third sword.
Gil opting to take the bottom warp instead of going up to the PR warp and just doing it that way.
Maybe he's just had bad experiences with dead rocks in the past.
That is probably the case. I know I've had an experience or two with dead rocks myself, so...
And hooray, new checks. Piece of heart. Huzzah, huzzah, I suppose.
And a mushroom there.
Oh good, food.
Well, not sure that's a mushroom that you're particularly inclined to eat, or maybe you are. I mean, some people like that sort of thing. We're at least going to open Turtle Rock, if not run around in here a bit.
Going to get all the way into that medallion's business. He knows everything about it now, including all the time it's going to take to back off from it.
So with 4 small keys, he can go as far as Mimic Cave without a big key. He has a big key, okay.
I keep thinking that he got the big key from the top check of Dark Maze. Yeah, he's got a big key. He definitely got into his menu, so wherever it came from, even if I'm wrong about the location, the fact that it's in his inventory now is true. And yeah, maybe that was a different key. It becomes difficult to remember in keys modes. That's why we have our lovely tracker doing the job of keeping track of these things, because it's not easy.
Yes, thank you for clicking the buttons for us, Spy. One day I will figure out how to read it.
There was the small key to Swamp Palace in Chain Chomps. And when you already have all 4 Turtle Rock small keys and you're still looking for the ice rods, you're definitely not skipping this location.
I just realized the video game could be extremely mean and put that ice rod somewhere in Swamp Palace, so you can't even save a portal and you have to run through the entire dungeon again.
That seems like the kind of thing the randomizer likes to do from time to time. Okay, that gives access to the second check in Agate Tower. Not in logic, since after all this time, we still have not found a lamp.
And there's our second key to Castle Tower.
Very funny video game. Now, we know that Ike here at least has checked the Lumberjack Ledge. We know that it's 300 rupees. I don't know if Gilgamesh has that knowledge or not.
I believe he did it right away, because he did a Sank start, and I believe he checked it right away.
Yeah, that would have been very early days, so... I suppose I can be forgiven for not remembering that an hour and 10 minutes later.
Looked like Gil was off track a little bit there, but maybe that was just me seeing things.
I don't know. If he was, he salvaged it. 4 more chances to find an ice rod.
Laser to the face. Never feels good.
Yeah, and plenty of chances to take a laser to the face. One more chance to find an ice rod. The vanilla small key location. 3 bombs. Have to imagine having found that small key to Swamp Palace that Gil's next play is fairly predetermined here.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of things in Swamp, and this is AAD, so you've got to pretty much do everything. Left side is probably in question, because we're not that far from go mode.
2 big keys and an ice rod. One of those big keys could just be in Ganon's tower at this point. That Pendant Mire big key, absolutely just be there.
So Iker playing a little bit of follow the leader here. This is not over by any stretch. Iker has a lot of game left to catch up yet. There's all that cash that we were looking for in the beginning of the seed.
Long after the runners stopped needing it, and now here it is. Speaking of here it is, hello Sankhart, welcome to the team.
Second first try on Specky Clip there.
Going for the southern loop first here makes me wonder if Gilgamesh is entirely saying no to left side, or if this is a I guess I'll just come back in if the game forces me to kind of thing.
There's that Mire bag.
Interesting. That's the one you wanted to see first, because that keeps you from going back up the mountain before you get the GT big key.
So while we've got a couple minutes while Gilgamesh does his diver down and Iker checks stuff that we already know, go ahead and give our runners a follow. Also give my co-commentator a follow as well. He's a very, very good Tetris and a Link to the Past player.
Yeah, drop by for the voice, stay for the blocks. That's the way it works. And of course my co-comm Sean here, who does a lot of NMG in his spare time, as well as a decent amount of rando as well.
And of course our tracker, Mika Nico Pai, who also does a good bit of Link to the Past Randomizer. Very good player in his own right. Thank you for clicking buttons.
And if you want something a little different, Time Spinner rando as well, I've been given to understand. Now, Pi, I have it on good authority that they don't let bad players into the Invitational League, which is why they have never let me into the Invitational League.
So we did find a Thieves Town Big Key on Left Side Swamp. That means it is required, and a very, very skippable check. I see a lot of runners that in basically every single mode to try to skip that.
Yeah, if you go to the back first, what happens if you go to the back of Swamp before left side? You pull an Ice Rod after you've already pulled your Mire Big, and you think, okay, so I've got that Mire Big. That gives me a bunch of Mire checks. I don't need to do left side Swamp, right? But somehow the randomizer's done it again. Here we are in Ice Rod Go mode. Now, Sean, personally I'm thinking that I'm doing Thieves next over Mire because the Mire checks are all kind of spread out and inconvenient while most of the back of Thieves is on the way. And if you can just pull the Ice Rod, then you can skip a bunch of Mire and you feel a little better.
It is true, but then you also have, if you go the other way, you have the the more aesthetically pleasing Thieves Town, and then Mirror and Pool Pedestal. So it depends if you're going for speed or aesthetics.
See, and you started saying that, and what I was thinking was, oh, and then you can skip the hallway key, which is something that you basically never get to do.
And Gilgamesh agrees with you, my Adium, that...
Yep, Gil appears to be with me on this one. Ooh, and our tracker bringing up a good point. Remember how we had that Hera key, the small key, really, really early, but we had no fire, and then doing other things in Hera led us to the fire rod?
It is very true.
We have had Hera Basement as an outstanding check for probably a solid hour at this point, and neither of our runners have done it. Like here, please don't do that in slow ROM. You can get away with that in fast ROM, but not here. It just causes more lag.
Iker doesn't have... Okay, that's what I thought.
Yep, Ike here does do the left side swamp play here, does get that Thieves Town big.
There's that Ice Rod there in Thieves Town Attic. So it was behind that Swamp Small, unfortunately.
No portal save this time. But that is a 1 hour, 20-minute go mode for Gilgamesh here. Going to have to finish up Thieves, finish up Mire, finish up TR, and then a quick climb of Ganon's Tower. Gil doing one of the more difficult tricks in Rando there, remembering not to open the Maiden Cell chest when you're in go mode.
Oh, I just always open that chest. NMG muscle memory.
Yeah, there's that, and also, you don't have silvers yet. It's a quick 1.5 second check that may save you a good 45 seconds between Vitreous and Ganon. Depending on how clean your Tempered Sword Vitreous is, of course. You can make all of that time back up anyway.
Yeah, you could also fluff it for silvers, I guess, but you kind of have to be careful what you do and don't fluff for silvers. That one's pretty much a free check.
Yeah, if you're not willing to check that one, you're not willing to check anything. I guess the only freer check in the game would be if you still had to do Ice Palace, the Spike U-Room check that you literally hookshot to, so you were touching it already.
You're gonna take some damage from this bird.
Yep, one Murderdactyl right to the face.
And luckily got hit a little bit to the left there, so he didn't get lonked. Iker deciding to go to Misery Mire over Thieves Town, so gonna be checking a lot more because he's still missing stuff. Does get a nice 0-round mire too, though.
That was an option that Gil didn't really have. I guess he could have gotten out the Fire Rod and just kind of gone Fire Rod happy a little bit to approximate the sword beams for the early part of that trick.
That's a chest order from Iker that I haven't really seen. I'm just popping out to the lobby first before committing to anything over here on the left side.
I'm a little surprised to see him heading almost directly for the cutscene chest here when you're one from go. As Gilgamesh fills Vitreous full of sticks and gets a 1-stick refund for the time and trouble. So Gilgamesh is going to go pull his Ganon's Tower big key here off of the pedestal. That's just one of the little special things of note in this mode. It's always going to be there.
Hey, chat, get your favorite PogChamp emotes in chat for ped hype. I like that the MSC has a drum roll in it.
That is pretty good. That's one of those tracks that it can always be fun to just play around with a little bit. Oh, well, Ike here found the silvers. That's not going to save him the minutes he needs, but we now know that Gil's never finding them. Gil is still going to have to spend a couple of minutes running back through TR. At least all of the doors are open.
Yeah, you don't have to do every room again. You can just ignore the chain chomps this time around.
Silver Arrow Vitreous, spin 2 on the main eyeball, get 1 back. That feels a little better than the 8-to-1 ratio that Gil got, right?
Gil actually landed 2 spins on the big eyeball, so he only had to use 6 wooden arrows.
Yeah, alright.
We're putting on the cape. I'm guessing we're gonna see a fake powder here. Somewhere I heard a horse disapproving of this.
I can't imagine that his teammates are all that happy about it either. Fake powder is kind of a slow check for something that's out of logic.
There's our third Meyer smell.
And the powder's just probably hanging around somewhere in GT basement. Now, is it 0 or 1 keys that actually puts Vidi in logic? Because you could get there
Really?
without spending any, can't you?
I believe it is 0 because you can go through the big key door in the top left.
We'll see in just a second here if Trinex has anything interesting, although there's not a whole lot left on the board. I do recall those early days when we were talking about how the runners were having trouble finding money. Now both of them over 1,100 rupees, and there is the ice rod for Ike here.
All right, now we get to see the best part of any 80 keys seed, skipping the entire basement of Ganon's Tower.
Given the peculiarities of the way the GT Big Key is placed, that's not always true of this flavor. You can definitely wind up hunting pendant dungeon requirements. The one thing that you're not hunting is Castle Tower Small Key 2s. And this seed had some very funny Castle Tower Small Key 2s. 1 and 2 just back-to-back, Mimic Cave, big chest of TR. Ike here getting a little off script here on blind, but with 14 hit points remaining and the fire shield, likely to be just fine. Personally, I think the best part of this mode is that I'm unlikely to be called a dingus for dropping in on Ganon too early.
Yes, that is always a risk of the normal 80 keys variety. If you do not defeat Aga 1 in that mode, then Ganon does indeed have some names he can call you, but not in this mode.
Has perhaps a few choice words for the hero who didn't bother to complete his goal before showing up. Ike here with the Ganon's Tower Big Key, Gilgamesh through Land Mode 2. Gilgamesh with a bit of the wait for the clock strat there.
Yeah, if you can't get the fast torches, then might as well just wait it out and make it all completely safe.
And you get this deep into a head-to-head race, maybe you just want that extra second and a half or so to kind of compose yourself.
I'll just take a breath before Moldorm 2, Aga 2 to very notoriously trolly bosses.
I'd say that was a more or less cooperative worm, though. It did kind of hide its tail for a little bit at the very beginning. Two easy hits in the first phase. Looks like we're setting up for, alright, a full 3 in the second. 1 to go.
Nice triple there. And for the approximately the 1,300,000th time in a row, we do see that it was indeed Ganon the whole time.
Why, I never. That pig got out again.
Alright, 12 hits, 12 hits, 12 spins, and we're done. Oh. Bit of a flub there, but could end up being a blessing? No, not feeling generous today.
Gilgamesh just going to cape up there, make sure that he gets his hits in. Again, your safeties are there to be used. Use them to speed up the fight. Ike here waiting patiently for Trinex, who takes forever to explode in all phases. Seems to be getting more doubles than triples here, but little does he know, at least 10 minutes ago when he was actually doing this, that he has a little bit of time to spare.
Alright, get your GGs in chats for Gilgamesh, who is going to cross the finish line here very shortly. And that is an official race time of 1 hour, 39 minutes, and 12 seconds. As we will just watch Iker finish this out.
Yeah, it felt like over the course of this that Gilgamesh's ordering just worked out a little better for him.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. It seems like Gilgamesh had TR access the second time that he was up here, or up on the mountain, and I don't remember if Iker did or not. So that made a big difference with Gilgamesh able to grab that Swamp Small a little earlier. Along with having that bow, like, basically right from the beginning.
Silver arrows do get the job done there on Landmo too, and you get these really satisfying Wizaro brooms just as long as you have this Cane of Samaria.
Yeah, you can do it with the bow, but you know, when you have Samaria, you might as well just use it.
And Ike here going for the strat that we were discussing a little bit ago, going for that right-hand torch first. Neither runner ever did find the powder. It would be amusing for it to be in this particular check, just because there's no longer really a use for it at that point.
It was the heart piece. Iker gets a little bit of validation, at least, inside that validation chest.
What is it, the knowledge that deep down even Ganon loves you and wants you to be happy, at least a little bit?
He could have had his heart grow 3 sizes. We're getting robbed a little bit on these spins. The collision doesn't always go where you expect it to. It does clean up Agate 2. I'm spewing out some cheese facts here to, I guess, distract us.
What, you've never known the kind of person who just knows trivia and wants to share?
Well, I have, but they're normally not twirling a pitchfork in my face at the time.
True.
One arrow. Oh. Just missing out on that triple. No matter. Get the 4th one in. Get your GGs in chat for Iker. As he will cross the finish line at 1:45.05. Like, both runners are here for an interview, but not quite ready yet, so we will get you that interview once they pop in.
And we are joined by both of today's runners. Iker, Gil, good game to both of you.
GG Gilgamesh.
So, either of you have any thoughts about that seed?
I don't know. It was kind of straightforward for the most part, I feel like.
Yeah, that's what it felt like to me too. It's just get the items, do all the dungeons, then go to Turtle Rock, and then do all your other dungeons.
Yeah, like there was no, like, I don't think there. I mean, I guess the Swamp Small was a little icky, but like there wasn't anything in a super nasty spot for the most part. So I don't know. It was fine. We got boots early. I was happy with that.
Yep, like it was really early and then screwed it up.
Yeah, there was that that little fake flipper incident in the first 10 minutes there, Iker. Unfortunately, you just got sniped. Just kind of happens.
I ran into him. That was a huge mistake on my part. I completely forgot. Yeah, I can't do that without Moon Pearl. So yeah. So I tried the double water walk. Yeah, so I could like get the thing if there was one on Zora Ledge, and then came out of waterfall. And it's like I'm not walking. Oh crap!
Right.
Moon Pearl. Let's just
Gotcha.
try to peek it and then go back, and yeah, it didn't work out. I felt like getting the boots early enough, maybe kind of offset that, but I don't know when Gilgamesh did South Shore. Since I did it immediately. Like I got the bomb tree pole and just went to South Shore.
I did it after CAC, so not too much later.
So they probably just canceled each other out. The time lost from the getting sniped with getting the boots early. Everything for CAC. That really is that Turtle Rock. Just we got to it late.
Yeah, and unfortunately that Swamp Small was locking a Thieves Big, which was locking your Ice Rod, so...
It's also like in the Mire Big, and all 4 dungeons were behind that Swamp Small.
Yeah.
That we had left because I had 6 done in like an hour. Gilgamesh probably also did.
Yeah, I think everything that was not locked behind that Swamp Small, I think I had done, basically, yeah. Yeah, I would say, like, I think the only thing I sort of felt bad about was because when I went up to TR, I had everything, and I went all the way to Laser Bridge and didn't find anything after that Swamp Small, which was like, oh, okay, well, that felt like a waste of time. But once everything was locked behind that Swamp Small anyway, and I knew that like I wasn't getting boned by the Ice Rod somewhere else, then it felt less bad, so...
Yeah, same here. You just have to check it because
Yeah, there's no way you can bail
there.
out after that Swamp Small. Like there's no one's gonna do that. Well, someone might do it, but
Not
that
us,
would be
no.
crazy.
The Mire Big's behind it. Then hey, that's
Yeah.
another trip to the mountain you have to do.
And it was interesting earlier in the game where, Gil, you had done the front of the escape and you had the bow. Ikir had taken the book and gone to desert and gotten the Eastern Palace Big, so you both had the opportunity to go into Eastern. Between you, we knew where all the tools were.
I know. That was another one I felt kind of bad about, because I was like, I got the bow. I usually go to Eastern very early in Keys Seeds, but then I got that bow, and I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll hold off a little bit and see if I can get the big key, and then I decided I didn't do desert because I was like, there's only 2 checks in there, I'll go to Eastern now. And then, of course, had I just gone to desert, I could have single dipped Eastern, but whatever.
Yeah, I felt the same way in the Eastern Big. It's like, ooh, let's just put it off until I get a bow, and then come back. And did eventually get the bow in Zelda Cell, and I did it with Big Bomb, because 2 of our early crystals were both red. I don't know which ones.
I had no clue either. I would just, after I got out of Ice Palace, I looked at my menu, I was like, oh, I have both of those, let's do it.
Yep, same thing here. I think I did after Ice Palace. Yeah, so it's like, okay, there's a bow, let's just go over to, let's finish this route and then do Pot Eastern. Went up and did the catfish checks. It's like, okay, flute. Because we got all the tools early to move around. We had flute, hammer, gloves. We had movement. Crazy. And yeah, it's just a matter of going to the locations.
And speaking of things that happened in that area, how did you both like the Castle Tower small keys?
That was hilarious.
I got a good chuckle. I opened the first one and I was like, well, that's going to be a last location for me. And then I opened the second one immediately after and laughed and just continued on because whatever. I mean, you're going to ignore it. I think we talked in the race time room beforehand that we had both already checked the first chest in Castle Tower, so I don't foresee any way either of us were going back there for the second one anytime soon.
If we didn't find Ice Rod in Thieves Town, that was going to be my next play. Was Green Pendant into Mushroom into Castle.
Mm-hmm.
So this mode's a little different from a normal ADT seed. Can I get your thoughts on mode in general?
I like it. I like that it requires all the dungeons without having to do Agate Tower necessarily.
Yeah.
And I like just being able to skip the Gan Tower basement. Just you get the big key, just go up unless you're somehow looking for small keys, which I've never had that as a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I like add keys in general, but it is nice. It's less. I like this less so for the fact that you don't have to worry about the Castle Tower small hunt, because I don't mind that part. I like not having to spend 4 minutes doing Castle Tower after you beat GT. It's actually kind of nice.
Yeah, that's why I like it too. Biggest draw.
So, Gil, this win moves SaHa's kids up to 9 points on the season. You've had maybe a little bit of a touch and go first couple of weeks, but how are you feeling with one more game left in this set between SaHa's kids and Don't Forget to Track Us?
I mean, we can't complain so far. You know, we came in from Open last year, and I don't think it's necessarily like a big secret that we were probably the least experienced team in this division. So to start with, 3-2, 9 points is, one step closer to not getting relegated. We were just hoping, talking to my teammates, we were just hoping to split this week. So starting off with a win is nice. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. The game 2 is tomorrow between Talon and Flip Heel.
Yeah, we had Flip in chat for pretty much all of this one. I have to imagine, Ike here, that he's
He was
already
yelling at
going
me,
to
I
be
bet.
plotting your team's vengeance.
I'm sure he had lots of words for me in there.
And for undodgeable shields and all sorts of other things, no doubt. So anything else either of you would like to say before we go ahead and wrap this show up?
I'll just say GG's again, and thanks everyone for putting on the restream. We always appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks GG's Gilgamesh, and thanks Manium and Sean for commentary, and Mike and Kobe for tracking. Appreciate all you guys do. Good luck tomorrow.